Hello, and thank you very much for joining me again today, 14 January 2020, and I'm back with Mr. Albert Matapo. Mr. Matapo, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. How about you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, today we want to talk about another important topic. Zimbabwe's economy has collapsed. In terms of currency, there's no currency in the country. Inflation is very, very high. All the indicators are very bad. Unemployment, there's no food. These problems have been with Zimbabwe for a long, long time now. You are saying you're going to make changes to Zimbabwe. How are you going to resuscitate this economy, which is in this state?
Yes. Thank you. This is a follow-up to what we discussed, of course, yesterday about our proposal to divide the country into 5 states and then move on. So from that vision and that perspective, we are going to resuscitate the economy, because the baseline of resuscitating the economy or of strengthening our economy is on a number of pillars. So these pillars, these fundamental pillars, we are going to deal with them, and we are going to make sure that everything that should be done is done. And I'm going to explain further these pillars, and the people of Zimbabwe should be able to see that this way the economy will be resuscitated. I will talk about that.
Okay. So let's go straight into your solution.
Okay.
Because the reason why I'm asking the question is Zimbabwe has had some of the best finance ministers. Zimbabwe also has the IMF advisors coming to the country. And Zimbabwe has had programs like SAP, which have been introduced.
Yes.
But all these programs have failed to improve the economy of the country. So you have said you are going to divide the country as a first step. What else are you going to do?
Right. Firstly, we talked about dividing the country into 5 states. That division, we are not going to be building walls or drawing lines. It's not a physical action that we will take on the ground, but rather it's just putting imaginary lines to say that this region now starts from here and it ends there. It's a simple thing. Actually, we are going to reduce costs by reducing the number of provinces. Today, we are facing 10 provinces, and we are going to reduce them to 5. Those 5 will be called states. We want to do away with these names, Matabeleland, Mashonaland, Manicaland, because that, yes, in a way, it's identity, but on another side, it will promote that kind of division amongst the people. So we will address that. It's not something that is going to be costful to do that, because it's certainly just imaginary lines, and then we move on. So that's one thing. The other thing is that everything, yes, you have said they've been very highly educated and experienced and qualified people, including the IMF coming in to advise. But the bottom line is, one, the leadership of the governing system of Zimbabwe. Does it have people with the willpower to do what is supposed to be done? That is the most important thing. Look, today, if we look at our system, Zimbabwe today, the richest people in Zimbabwe are the very same people who are in power. The president, the vice president, the top ministers, the economy is in their hands. How can you be a president, or how can you be a minister, at the same time you are a business person, hands-on, as they are in Zimbabwe? How can you be entrusted with national resources, whilst you have got your own personal interests? There is a conflict of interests between those in power today or in leadership today and the country's system. So we are saying First of all, the people who should run Zimbabwe should be people who have got the willpower to see Zimbabwe progress from where it is and forward. And for that to happen, they must be honest people, they must be reliable people. Ability is also part of it, but sometimes it's not just ability, it's not just education that we look at, but it is what is in one's heart. That is very important. This moment in time, our biggest problem is that our economy is like we are like maybe a vulture that is waiting for chicks to grab and go. The people, the leaders who are there are like vultures. They are just waiting for every smallest opportunity so that they can steal and go. That's where our biggest problem is. They don't have the time to sit down and look at whatever proposals that might have been put by those experts. So the experts might be there, but they are on a leash like dogs. They are not independent. Whatever they do, they are controlled by the mafias. The mafias control everything. In as much as Tendai Biti might have been so good in his economics, but he could not do anything because he was on a leash by these people. So we are not going to do that. We are going to make sure the role of whoever is going to lead, if it's me, I will make sure that whoever we put in a position has been monitored or is being monitored. Everything is looked at. People will have to be transparent and come out and say, look, this is, they declare their whatever they have to start with. And then whatever progress as we go, because you cannot be a leader of a country as well as a business person running a business. Where are you getting that? The public needs to know. The public has to know everything. So for that to be possible, I will quickly move into this and say that the transitional system, like I said before, is going to be slightly different from the present way of governance. Look, I want to put economics into this, but for me to be able to do that, let me just explain this part. That we are going to have a transitional system with a very small number of political leaders. Very, very small, not more than 10. They must be very, very few. So that, because look at the governments that we have now, they are just bloated for nothing. So we only need very few people. We will talk about that. And then we are going to change the system from being a president with executive powers. Whoever will be the leader of the transitional system will not have 100% executive powers as it is today. That Mnangagwa today can just dictate anything and he will get away with it. We will not do that. We will have more like a system where we have a prime minister leading ministers, and then we have a president leading government. So that kind of system, we will, leading the state. The president will be leading the state, and the prime minister leading government, sort of something like that. But then it will not be president per se. It will be the traditional leaders. We will upgrade the traditional system so that they have some powers. We have to take some powers from the as it is now. We are taking the powers from the president, put it down to the traditional leaders. The traditional leaders will have to be competent people, capable people, and people who are really the rightful people. They will be a certain criteria that will have to be met, so that these traditional leaders, they become functional. They must be made to be active. And so whatever decisions we make, they must also be approved by the traditional leaders. So the traditional leaders, whoever will be the leader of the traditional leaders, will have powers of a president, so that at least there is sharing of power. There is need for a checks and balances, as I said yesterday. We will need the politicians to be checked by independent people, and these traditional leaders will have to be apolitical. They have to be totally neutral. And these traditional leaders will not just be, they will just have to be above board for them to qualify to do this kind of thing. So we need politicians to be checked. If it's me selected to lead on this side, I need these checks and balances. Other people who will say this is right, this is wrong, we have to go to them and say, what do you think about this? And then if they say no, we can't do it. We have to some kind of get authority from them. And then the traditional leaders will have power to deploy. I mean, we will not deploy forces outside Zimbabwe without their approval. We will not. We will have to. Each state has got leadership, traditional leadership. Resources will be accountable to them. They must know that in this state there are these resources, and these resources are going to such a place, and so much is being obtained from these resources, and this much is going into this pocket. They must know, and they must account to the people, because I'm talking about accountability here. I'm talking about two things: governance and accountability. So it is the governance that we are going to sort first. Make sure that the governance has got checks and balances, and these checks and balances will be from the traditional leaders, will be from the council. I said we are going to have a council of technocrats. These technocrats will advise the traditional leaders, will advise the politicians. We don't want any arm to be totally independent, because if it becomes totally independent without somebody checking them, then they are bound to abuse the system, particularly the politicians. Politicians world over, they abuse systems, and because of that they end up stealing. We looked in a country called South Korea. They arrested the president in South Korea. They put the president on trial, and she was convicted. This is the system we want in Zimbabwe. If I make a mistake, I will be arrested and go to prison. That must be possible. We will remove this immunity thing. We will remove that. It's not necessary at all, because people must learn to be accountable. People must learn to do the right things. So we will do the right things. This I promise. And this we will do, because we cannot afford as a nation to go on and on forever. It looks like black skin means failure. We must prove a point that black skin does not mean black brains or dirty brains. No, we have to prove to the whole world that for the first time there is a country that is running its systems properly in our own way, and the best for our people, and that we will do. And therefore, when we go to the economy itself, we will look at it and say, right, firstly, we look at things like education, for example. Our education system, we will have to relook at it. We go to the primary schools, we should be able to identify artists from the primary schools. For example, from grade 3 level, we should be able to identify artists and say, because we must put in place in all schools facilities. I'm talking of primary schools first. We have to expose our kids to these various, programs that will make us identify artists and put them there. Lawyers, put them there. Scientists, put them there. Engineers, put them there. All sectors, we should be able to identify them at primary level. And that is very, very easy to see. There is no one who is useless. There is no dunderhead at school. Yes, people use those terms, but we don't have that. Every child has got something that they are good at. And because of that, we must put them there, promote them from tender ages as we go up, and guide them. One thing that is going to be, or two things that are going to be compulsory are: one, we have three main languages. We have English, we have Shona, we have Ndebele. Yes, there are other languages that are related either to Shona or they are related to Ndebele. These three languages will have to be compulsory in all schools across our country, so that we are all able to speak national languages, which are those three. And then from there, we are going to make sure that every child from tender ages is introduced to a subject called law, so that they are able to know their rights, they are able to understand the world affairs, they are able to understand the economics from tender ages. And we will do that. And then we introduce all these kind of courses like engineering and what have you. We should be able to introduce from tender ages, introduce computers. They are able to work on all these systems. So we prepare entrepreneurs more than just preparing employees. Our system today, Zimbabweans shine all over. They are running other people's economies, but they cannot open their own businesses. We are not entrepreneurs. We need to transform that to being entrepreneurs, so that we can be able then to start our own businesses that subsist, that continue to run as long as we want them to run. So we will have to create that kind of system. Like I said last time, that we are going to borrow systems from other countries that have gone through similar experiences in terms of, say, education, in terms of other. We will borrow certain things from them and even borrow some expertise to start with, so that we can start our own systems and move forward. So we will do that on education. Not only that, but we will make sure that education is free. Primary education will have to be free. Secondary education will have to be free. Tertiary education, all people will have the opportunity to go to tertiary education. Either they pay or they are given loans and grants and loans. And they will, all our children will have access to go to some form of tertiary education. It will be compulsory for them to go for that until they achieve a certain level of tertiary education. And then we assist the youth. We are talking of the youth now. We are talking of the youth here. We will have to start up projects for our youth across the board. Other youth, they go into projects which will enable them to be highly qualified in certain professions. Others will have to start some businesses which will be assisted by government, which will be supported by government. Others will have to be sent outside to also borrow, so that they go and experience and get some external experiences, bring that back home, so that we come up with a hybrid product of our children, getting various kinds of experiences and knowledge. We will have to create that environment. I know some people will say, where are we going to get all that money? I'm going to talk about that. And then we look at women and children. Women are playing a vital role, a very, very important role. I sometimes shed tears when I see women dragging, small kids, struggling in public transport, struggling in different places where they need some help, where they need everything. I almost sometimes shed tears because I feel very pity. I feel pity about them. I feel sorry about what will be going on with these women. Women, they are the mothers of everybody. For us to be who we are, it's because of these women. And because of that, the women, we need to put them at a special place. Besides, of course, being equal. Yes, we have to be equal. But where they play certain roles, for example, they carry pregnancy, they go for delivery, they experience certain things that men do not experience. We need to look at them. We need to upgrade them. We will do what we can do, the best for them, so that then they won't experience all these, and that then will amount to equality. Because if we don't access, or we don't let them access certain facilities that are provided by the state, and making sure that they have certain things that they are exposed to, then we are not being equal at all. I have seen equality in other countries where both men and women, they are given, for example, maternity and paternity leave, so that they help one another in this and that. So we will do the best for our women. Our women and children will benefit a lot. I've talked of youth projects that we will do. I've talked of women and projects. We will focus on farmers, because we want to upgrade our economy. We go to our farmers. I said it yesterday that Ian Smith, when they upgraded their farmers, they simply started Gwebi College, because they were just a few people. So we are going to take our youngsters, those who want to go into farming business, we will take them, put them in training institutions. We take them from those training institutions. We don't just train them and leave them. No, we will train them, start up projects, farming projects, supervise them, guide them, provide them with resources, and making sure that they've got the right market. Yes, markets are determined by laws of supply and demand, that I know. We will create that. It's an open market, it's an open system of business, yes, but we will have to search for it. Go out there, look at where we can export the products, because it is not just the responsibility of the farmer or of the producer, but it is also the responsibility of the state to make sure that there is sufficient market, there is competitive market. So we will actually come up with a competitive environment where our people are able to export, our people are able to recoup and get good monies. And we are going to have a very strong policy about diasporans, so that we create an enabling environment for all diasporans. We give them access to projects. We give them access to a lot of things, so that we persuade them to come back home, so that they come back home to develop their country. Today, Zimbabweans are developing other countries, South Africa, Botswana, United Kingdom, US. There are Zimbabweans all over doing a fantastic job. We will have to persuade them to come back home, give them a hand, so that they can, use whatever skills, whatever knowledge, whatever they have learned, they can plow it back home and make use of that and move on. We have specialists on mining, on engineering, on a number of things that are in the country, and others are abroad. All those, we have to put them together. We will not neglect any single person. We will have to take advantage and make use of all the people. So we will not have, we will declare, like I said, we will declare our wealth. Every leader will have to declare their wealth, so that we can easily monitor as we move on. So on the question of land, for example, on the question of land, every other person has got right to land. Every Zimbabwean has got right to land. Land is a natural right for everybody. But we will do it in such a way that we want the land to be as productive as possible. So we will make sure that we provide resources, we provide technical expertise, we guide the farmers as we go. The division, as I said yesterday, I went on to also talking about things like developing roads from Bed Bridge to Chirundu and so on and so forth, all those roads. We are talking of infrastructural development. We will have to put the necessary infrastructure, because without the necessary infrastructure, nothing can develop. So we will have to look at our infrastructure and make sure that we put up, up to standard, the highest quality, the highest standard whatsoever. So we will put infrastructure, for example, things like we need electricity. There is no industry that can function without electricity. So we will have to put, men and women who are capable of providing technical expertise and set up our electricity so that we have enough electricity for everybody. We will have to put the roads, I talked about roads yesterday. We will put up manufacturing industries. Yes, we have some manufacturing industry in Harare, yes, which is dilapidated, which is outdated now, which is obsolete. We will have to come up, like we said, we are going to have a new capital city where we will plan for modern infrastructure that will even lure tourists to come and see. So our tourism industry will also, there will be a boom in our tourism industry, in our hotel industry, and so on and so forth, because of this new thing that if Nigeria managed to do it, Nigerians built Abuja just because of oil. In Japan managed to build a new city. South Korea managed to build a new city. So many different countries managed to do it. Why not us? We have got our resources. I'll talk about the financing part. Of course, I said something about it yesterday, but I'll also go on and say that. Also, another very, very important point is devolution. These states, each state will have to run its own affairs, because you see, there will be power within each state to make sure that they account for the resources that they have, and they make sure there is production going on in that particular state. So there will be a state government, a government for each state, which has got some powers to borrow and also to run and produce. So there will be competition amongst the 5 states. There will be competition. This one is competing with that one, is competing with that one. We want to see that one which is going to be on top. So people are going to compete for productivity. People are going to compete for development. And we will have to, the purpose of central government is just to make sure everything is going on well. There is accountability, there is fairness, there is everything. The people are moving on so well. And of course, very, very important is the health sector. We will have to make sure that our health sector has been looked at. We have got hospitals today, but they are not serving any purpose. If you look at Andrew Fleming, allow me to call it Andrew Fleming, which is Paranenyatwa Hospital today. I mean, why am I calling it Andrew Fleming? Because the way it was designed as Andrew Fleming, it never changed. Nothing changed out of that. So for people just to call it Paranenyatwa today, when they have not changed anything, I don't see any difference why I should not call it Andrew Fleming. So I'm saying we are going to make sure that we create an enabling environment for a state-of-the-art hospitals built across the nation. Each state will have to have a state-of-the-art hospital. If I fall sick, I will not go to South Africa. I will not go anywhere. I will not leave Zimbabwe. I will be treated in Zimbabwe, where the ordinary men and women are being treated. That is a good country. So where the ordinary men and women are queuing up to get treatment, that is where I, as the leader, will go and get treatment. That is what we want. And so we'll create that kind of thing. We will achieve that. And then we will come up with proper social security. Remember, we have got the elderly people who are suffering. A lot of our elderly people are suffering across Zimbabwe. We have got persons with disabilities who cannot, yes, having disabilities does not mean they are unable to do something. We will create a situation where we give them the ability to do something so that they are happy to be doing something, to be productive, and then they get something out of that, and that will empower them. So we will have social security which will be used to upgrade them and also upgrade those the elderly men and women, and in addition, those who would have gone through some challenges, yes, so that they can't earn a living, they will have to go through the system of social security. We will not have anyone sleeping along on the road or under the bridge. We will not have that, because we are going to have, as I said yesterday, of course, I talked about villagization. The villagization program is going to create, everything that we are going to do is going to create employment, and not only just employment, but also facilities for all those people who are sleeping on the roads, who are doing all this kind of suffering. They will have the opportunity either to be productive or to be assisted by the state, and that will push our people. And then on the citizens' rights and protection, I say there are three main rights, citizens' rights. The citizens will have right to life. Nobody will be shot dead. We will make sure that the army will never be used to shoot people. The police will not be used to shoot people. They will not be used to beat up people. Never. That will not happen. And that will stop as soon as we get into this independence that we are going to declare soon. We will make sure that every Zimbabwean is free. If you have committed a crime or suspected of having committed a crime, you have to be taken to court, and it is the court that will determine. Remember, the courts will be under the jurisdiction of the traditional leaders, and so that at least they are independent and we don't interfere with them. Whatever, they must be credible people, credible magistrates, credible public prosecutors, credible judges, not partisan men and women. We will not allow anyone who is partisan to practice those kind of things, because then that it destroys, it damages our country. We will not allow that. We will practice fairness, and so these people will have to be very, very fair, and so then we can have anyone who is suspected to have committed a crime to go through these trials. Then we will also have a proper foreign policy. Our foreign policy will be, we must not create any squabbles with any country. Any country that comes to us trying to benefit from our economy at the expense of our people, we will say no. For example, right now, we have been colonized by China. That people, I have to say this, we don't mean to be enemies of China, but China is being unfair to us, is stealing our resources, is colonizing us, is funding the dictators so that they can colonize us. They, behind the scenes, they are saying they are building that parliament so that they can put their gadgets to tape whatever you are saying in that parliament. And when they do that, they want to control us and own us. That we will not accept. That we will not allow. Never. That will not happen. We will have to have, our country will be a sovereign state where we do what we want as Zimbabweans and as the people of the world. But we will not create any squabbles with any country. That is not it. Like I said before, I said it last time, that we are going to reduce the army and have a very small size of army, which will be well trained and well equipped. Well trained, well equipped, well resourced, and well looked after. Who look after them. The army will be given the tasks to, for example, manufacture vehicles, manufacture equipment, carry out farming, and so on. They will be involved in the production process of our country, so that they won't just lie idle. They will be doing something and produce, so that then the country can earn something out of them. We don't seek to be a superpower, remember. We don't want to be a superpower, so we will not put so much budget to the defense for no reason, because we don't want to be a superpower, and we don't attack other countries. That's not our job. Our job is to look after our citizens. Our job is to look after our economy. Our job is to grow Zimbabwe to a productive, to be a rich country, and we know that we will reach that level in a very short space of time. I will talk about things like, of course, I talked about accountability. We have got our resources, we have got our mines, we have got our tourism, we have got a lot of resources that we have. Today, all those things are not being accounted for. We don't even know where our platinum is going. The Mbekis of this world, they are involved in our platinum, our gold, our diamond, our lithium, everything. We don't even know where that is going to. We are going to put men and women who are highly accountable, and all that will be having checks and balances, and they will be reporting. These people will be reporting to the public, to the generality of the people of Zimbabwe, so that everybody knows that, okay, we have got our resources, and our resources are doing this and that. Those of you, men and women of Zimbabwe, let me tell you this today, that if you are fighting ZANU-PF today, if you are fighting ZANU-PF like I'm doing, if you are fighting to remove ZANU so that you replace it with ZANU, I mean to say you are replacing it with corruption. You are replacing it with lying, with disrespecting property rights, subverting the will of the people, rigging elections, and practicing racism, practicing tribalism, regionalism, and so on. You are misplaced. Please, if you are fighting ZANU to replace it with ZANU, then you are at a wrong place. You are in the wrong time. We are not doing that this time. We are fighting ZANU to remove the ZANU-PF system. And it is that system which we are going to remove once and for all. Anyone who wants to be corrupt, who wants to steal from the people, who wants to practice racism, who wants to practice tribalism, must quit now. Must not, purport to be an opposition activist. That person is a ZANU, because it's a ZANU system. Those of you who have been supporting ZANU, but they no longer want this system, please come to us. Tell us so that you join others. I know there are people up there within the ZANU system who have not committed any crimes. Some of them have approached us. Yes, we clear you. If you have not committed any crimes, it's okay. Come to the people, support the people. You cannot be open now, but confide with me. Don't worry, I will not sell you out. There are others who have already approached me, and we are very happy with that. We are not gonna divulge. Don't worry, everything is safe. We are saying whether you are a junta, you have been used to kill people, you have been used to do this and that, this is the time for you to come forward and say, look, I want to be with the people. You will work with the people. I applaud those who are doing efforts to carry out demonstrations, to do this and that, I applaud you. You are doing a good job. But look, let us not do something that will endanger our people. Let us not do that. Zimbabwe People Power Movement is going to take action at an appropriate time. The time will come, and I will say it myself. Not only myself, but also the action that you will see, which I am going to authorize. So we are going to build a super Zimbabwe, which is going to have the best economy in Africa, if not in the world. We are going to compete with other countries. We are capable. We have the ability. Our motto, remember, we said it's a country with good leadership has got everything. So all we need at this point in time is to make sure that we unite under Zimbabwe People Power Movement. Once we unite under that, Zimbabwe People Power Movement is going to declare independence, and we will become independent of these thieves, these liars, these murderers. We will be independent as soon, very soon. Once we do that, everything that you are crying for, everything that you want will come to you. This is the opportunity. So those of you who are listening to this, tell your leaders, be it political leaders, be it religious leaders, be it whatever leaders, tell them to join the Zimbabwe People Power Movement and be counted, because we are going to, this movement, no one is going to stop it, and this movement is going to produce results. I can assure you this. I know that there are people who have been sent by ZANU to go onto the videos and start commenting rubbish and say, no, this is the ZANU project and whatever. Don't listen to all that, because those people, they are being paid by Mnangagwa and team to do that, so that they divert your attention. Please, we are saying, wherever you are, tell the next person. Have you told your relatives? Have you discussed this in your own house at night and say, do you know of Zimbabwe People Power Movement? Let us all join it, because we are going to see milk and honey flowing. All this will come from accountability. We are going to be accountable. We are highly accountable to our resources. We are going to have a fair government. We are going to have people, everyone involved. We are going to make sure that we see everybody is employed. Everybody is doing something for their life. We will not allow anyone to suffer. We will upgrade them. The way the Indians live, the way the Asians live in Africa. Look, they help one another. Why can't we do that? We will do it at national level, and we will upgrade this. I know some people might say, where are you going to get the funds? I talked of the BOT arrangement yesterday, which is a build, operate, and transfer. There are a lot of investors who have already approached us. I am holding meetings and meetings with investors now and again, who are interested in coming to Zimbabwe to invest, provided the thieves, those who do not respect property rights, have been removed. And so, what is the problem? Where is your problem? We have investors already lined up. It's going to be a pick and choose, because there are so many who want to bring resources to our country. We are not going to sell our country. We are not going to give our country to other people. No, we will bring investment. Not only that, but our minerals, our natural resources that we have in our country, we are going to manage it properly, and funds are going to come from all those sources, and they come to us, and then we build our country and we move on. Lastly, I want to say that we cannot afford to compromise on leadership, on leadership after these 40 years of misrule. We have been under oppression for the past 40 years, and that is enough. Enough is enough. We will not allow that to go on forever. We will not allow that to go on forever. And therefore, this is the time that we offer every Zimbabwean to come forth so that they can join hands with us, with the Zimbabwe People Power Movement, My number is always there. We want you to be in our groups so that we can be one. We can work together. We can pass this message. You are delaying your independence by not joining, by delaying. You are only delaying your independence. I know you have got leadership wherever you are. I applaud them. I know they've done a great job, but enough now is enough. Where are we going? We don't tell me of elections in 2023. Don't tell me of dialogue. Don't tell me of whatever these changes in ZANU-PF government will never allow any of that. We must put them in a situation where they have no choice. The ZANU-PF government is an illegal government because they have been stealing elections. Whether you want proof or what, but I'm saying they've been stealing. Number two, this one, which is there, the Mnangagwa one, got in through a coup, and everybody knows. So what are we waiting for? Why are we delaying? What are we waiting for? You come and join Zimbabwe People Power Movement today. Be part of it so that we can fight this and remove them. So with this, please share this information, write down, make sure that you copy and paste somewhere else. Everybody has to know this so that we can move on. If you have got questions, you can ask me. My number is there. Thank you very much.
Right, Mr. Albert Matapo, 40 minutes or more. In fact, it's about 45 minutes of discussion. There are so many issues that you have raised that we need to unpack. And I think I'll ask a number of questions just to make sure we clarify to the people.
Yes.
And I want us to do quick answers.
Okay.
So, what is the main economic problem right now in Zimbabwe that
Yes.
you will first of all fix?
Yes. I mean, like I've said before, that the major problem is accountability. There is no accountability of whatever is being raised from the natural resources that we have, and even from the taxes. There is no accountability. That money is just being pocketed by some other people and is going somewhere. So people, this illegal government, they expect donors to bring money, they expect investors to bring money so that they can just steal it and put it in their pockets. Secondly, there is no respect for property rights. So investors can't bring money because there is no respect for property rights. And also this, the lack of democracy in the country. Nobody wants to finance somebody who will use that to fix the citizen. So those are the main problems that we are facing at the moment.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you're saying the problems we have in Zimbabwe are of a political nature.
Yes, of course, they are of a political nature. There are men and women who are quite capable of running the economy. Ideas are so many, they are all over. But those ideas cannot be implemented because there is no political will. People are running the country using the barrel of the gun. So the power is in the gun. We must take away that. We don't want the power to be in the gun. We want the power to be in the people.
Okay. Now let's go into the issue of growth.
Yes.
Why is the economy in Zimbabwe not growing? Why is it in fact going down?
Going down. Yeah. The economy of Zimbabwe is actually going in a donga.
Yes.
It's going down. And if we are not careful, it will be difficult to reverse this. We have to act fast. We have to move with the speed of lightning to make sure that we correct this. This is all because of the absence of democracy, as I've said before. Because as long as there is no democracy, what is happening? The capable people are running out. They are going to South Africa, they are going to UK, they are going all over. So the people who have been trained by the resources of Zimbabwe are now using those skills to develop other countries. So ours is not moving. There is no transparency whatsoever in whatever is going on. And nobody wants, actually in Zimbabwe, they want bootlickers. Those who say, Mambo, chef, they want bootlickers. And those bootlickers, they promote corruption. This is why we have got so much this corruption. It is because of these bootlickers who are leaking these leaders. So we cannot, our economy cannot, because they just steal as they wish. Because to Zimbabwe, that is normal. And this is the biggest reason why our country cannot restore confidence in investors. Investors cannot be, confident of what we are doing. And lastly, on this list, I can say that there is also not the appointments in Zimbabwe. They are not based on merit. They are only based on relationships and corruption and everything. So, whom do you know, and what are you going to give me after I put you there? That must stop, and that is going to stop.
Okay. Then we have the issue of importing. In Zimbabwe, we're importing everything.
Yes.
From shoes, clothes, food. How do we get to a point where we start producing our own goods and avoiding losing this foreign currency?
Yes. The starting point, like I said yesterday, that once we divide the country into these 5 states, we are going to start massive development, starting from the central part, going outwards. We are going to have state capitals in each state. All that we need, there is going to be development in all that. But where are the resources? Where are the materials that are going to be used? We will say, number one, we want to promote our own products to be, to be used, so that our people can begin to produce, be it stones, be it window frames. We would rather send them outside to train, to be able to make them, and then with the speed that it should take. And the machinery, we would rather import the machinery to make the product. So our products must be local products that imitate those which are produced outside. We would rather get samples from overseas or other countries, bring them to Zimbabwe, then they are produced in Zimbabwe, and we use them. That way, we promote our productive industry. So our industries will begin to produce because we use legislation, we use the law to say, okay, the condition for you to invest here and produce is, let us promote our people so that they can produce the same quality, the same standard, everything. We'd rather send them out to train so that they come and do exactly that. So we will do it, of course, not so quickly, but we will start somewhere and move on until we become fully fledged manufacturing country.
Okay, now let's go to the issue of the currency. The Zimbabwean currency has collapsed a number of times. What are you going to do about the currency?
Yes, obviously, once we start manufacturing and we start exporting, then we will introduce our own currency. To start with, of course, we'll start with the mixed basket. We can't use the bond. That's a bond paper. We don't want a bond paper. We'll have, because now once we start accounting for our minerals, we'll have to build to have a gold bank, which will back our currency. So our currency will have to be backed either by gold or by platinum or even by diamond. So we'll have to come up with either a mineral bank that will back up our currency to make it strong. So as long as we are accountable and we are producing these, within a short space of time, we should be able to produce massive, minerals that we will put somewhere to back our currency. And then our currency becomes strong. It can be 1:1 to a pound. And we can maintain it because we are maintaining these minerals. So we are going to do that.
Okay, so we've talked about production, growth, currency. Now, let's go to the economic model.
Yeah.
Which country are we going to be modeling after? If we thought about a country that we can model after.
Yeah, we are not going to follow just a single country. We are going to borrow. Like for example, I told you that there are countries that we can actually look at and take something from them, put it together, and make our own model. Like for example, Singapore. They were a very, very poor country recently, but they emerged from the dust. We look at Dubai. Dubai, or rather UAE, United Arab Emirates, where Dubai is a city. They are the hub of Middle East. They are the marketplace for Middle East. Zimbabwe can actually be a marketplace for the whole Southern African region by virtue of the fact that we are right at the center, at the heart, and we can negotiate with Mozambique so that we have a passage that takes us to the sea, and we have our products coming straight to Zimbabwe. Once you get to the Mozambican Sea harbor, you are in Zimbabwe, because we can actually make it a special economic zone so that things can be coming that way, like that, and then we can be distributing to all over like that. So we can copy countries like Singapore. We combine with countries like South Korea, the way they did it. We go to countries like Dubai. Then we also go to the Western countries, countries like Sweden. We take something from there. We take something from the UK, something from USA. We put all that together, and we will go up. Obviously, it will not be a single country model, but we will take from various countries. We already have that, but you know, it's massive for me to explain that now. But I can explain it, of course, on another day.
Okay, so I think we've discussed quite a number of issues, and I think we should bring it to an end. Is there anything you want to say before we close?
Yes, maybe just a little bit that I want just to address our traditional leaders. Traditional leaders, unfortunately, ZANU-PF has been using you, most of you, for their own benefits, and they've been putting in place people who are not qualified, who are not the rightful people to be the leaders. I'm talking of traditional leaders. You must remain totally neutral with respect to political matters. Once you do that, you earn respect from the people. The people will respect you, and therefore government also will put respect on you. And you know, we would want you to be responsible for ceremonial roles. They should be handled by the traditional leaders. They should lead the legislature. They should hold meetings with political leaders, and they should have some kind of power. And for that to happen, it must start now. Yes, I applaud those traditional leaders that face reality. And can you keep on like that? Let's work together. Here is Zimbabwe People Power Movement. Can everybody from the traditional leaders, can you pass it on to your people? But just be careful, of course. But let the people, you know, talk about Zimbabwe People Power Movement. Let us come together and get into this. We are building a new Zimbabwe already. Slowly, we are taking Zimbabwe from the ED regime, illegal regime, to a new Zimbabwe. We are taking it. Slowly, we are doing it. You will see where we are going to get to. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Albert Matapo, for joining us in this discussion, for expanding on a number of issues, and we'll be continuing to talk as we go. If you want to discuss more, please talk to Mr. Matapo on the number on the screen, and please like and comment on this post. Thank you very much.
Thank you.